Brooke Hedge, and I was a judge on DC Superior Court for 26 years in both an active capacity and then as I grade into senior status, handling a variety of cases. Well, the first thing I did when court opened was to get a second cup of coffee, preferably a mocha latte. And then I'd have my breakfast with me, and I'd sit down at the computer, and I would then run through my calendar for the day. And oftentimes I'd done it the night before, but I might be thinking about things during the night and wanted to double check it. And so I would run through the calendar before I went on the bench and just, pay attention to some details, maybe look up some stuff, might, read some cases to get ready for it. Depending on the situation and the complexity. So that was how the day would start. And then I'd hit the ground in the courtroom, and I have the docket right up in front of me as the cases were called. So I would be able to access the materials there and repeat the process at the end of the day, go back through and look for the next day.
With this day in the life as the backdrop, we will now demonstrate as our mock judge uses C-Track in day-to-day task management, hearing preparation, courtroom events, legal research, and trial preparation. Before I head to the office, I'm going to check my email to see if there is anything I need to attend to urgently and what my court calendar looks like for the week. Luckily, my C-Track CMS calendar can be linked to Outlook so that I can see this information from my cell phone. Oh, I see I received an email about some tasks assigned to me that are approaching their due date. Let's see what those are. I have some arrest warrant requests to attend to. I'll take care of those first thing. I also see that the deadline for an answer filing that was due on one of my cases was missed. I'll need to ask my staff about that when I get in to find out what is going on. And here's that order I authored that was filed and distributed out. I'll take a look at my sessions coming up. Oh yes, I'll have a warrant session this morning and a trial later in the week. I'll prepare for that this afternoon. With my day underway and my second cup of coffee in hand, I log on to the CMS to first view new filings, make sure my big cases are on track, and take care of new tasks around some new search warrants I need to review. From my home page, I can easily see the menu options, at-a-glance widgets that show new activity, new tasks, open tasks, and even overdue tasks. I also get alerts notifications in the top of the window with the drop-down of all activity. So I first want to check for new filing activity in a case that is nearing trial. I can see that there have been 2 filings in this case. I want to see more information on this motion for summary judgment docket entry, so click the entry to see all the relevant information about these filings. The file date, the docket entry, who filed the documents, and I can view the document by clicking on the icons. I'll now go back to my homepage. I can also review the work my law clerks are collaborating on. I'll open up Matters to view that type of work. My saved searches give me fast access to the cases that I'm doing a lot of research and other pre-trial matters on. I have summary information and can drill into additional details. I'll go back to my homepage now and start working on those new tasks. I use my work queue to review any pending tasks. I see that I have 2 search warrant applications requiring a decision today. To work on those warrants, click the Process button and I'm taken directly to the first selected case record. I click the document link and review Officer Winslow's application. I will review the contents of the document in the PDF file that appears within my browser. After my review, I've decided I will approve the search warrant application. To enter this status, I'll select Granted and then Save. Now the system automatically adds the docket entry and generates a templated order. But before distributing the order, I do want to make some edits to the warrant, like adding the location details and the limits of the search scope, and list what the officers are looking for in the search. So rather than sending straight out, I will edit the draft order. I preview the pre-filled order, make any necessary modifications, view that my signature has been automatically applied, and send the document back into the system by using Push to C-Track. I can take a last look at my changes to see the edits I made. With that task now complete, I will then click the Satisfy and Next button. This shows that I completed my review of the search warrant request and alerts the clerk's office to take the appropriate next steps in disseminating out my order via e-service to the parties. I have one last task on another warrant. I am automatically prompted to address the next open task in the second case from my list. Like the first search warrant review, I'm going to click on the document link on the search warrant request docket entry. Here, I am going to deny this search warrant application for a lack of information. I will click on the search warrant request docket entry and update the outcome status to Denied. After selecting Save, the system will automatically add a draft order denying search warrant docket entry and will generate a templated order. I review the pending order denying search warrant. With no further edits necessary, I can satisfy the task. I click the Satisfy and Next button to indicate that I completed my review and the clerk's office is alerted to take the appropriate next steps in disseminating out my order. Since this task was the final task that I select for processing, the system will let me know that I have completed all my pending tasks. With all my tasks complete, I'll now turn my attention to today's hearings. From the main menu, I navigate to Calendar to review and prepare for cases on my docket today. The calendar view is customized for me using calendar subscriptions. I only want to see my sessions right now, so I turn off the hearing type subscription, leaving only the subscription for my calendar session selected. The calendar defaults to the current week with the current day highlighted in yellow. I can change my view to see additional dates, weeks, an entire month, weekends, and holidays. I see that I have a trial hearing scheduled for Friday, February 12th, beginning at 9 a.m. The exclamation point icon alerts me that there is something important I should note about this case. I click on the calendar session for the trial today to view the hearing. I see that today's session is a virtual session and links to access the virtual hearings have been added to the session. When it is time for the hearing, I can click the links to access the virtual session. I see that one trial is scheduled and one trial was previously continued. Here I can also view the hearing alerts by hovering over the alert icons. The alerts tell me that the defendant on today's trial is currently in custody and that this is a case that the media has been covering. To take a closer look at and further prepare for today's trial, I click on Open in Courtroom Processing. In Court Processing, I prepare for the trial by viewing the details of the case. I click on the case number to view it. Right away, I see that my law clerk has left me a note to review the proposed exhibits and witness list prior to trial. I'll review those after I familiarize myself with the nature of the case, the charges against the defendant. This is a very serious case. The defendant has been charged with murder and robbery. I recall that the defendant entered a plea of not guilty on all charges at the arraignment. Next, I'll take a look at the parties and the attorneys representing the parties. Looks like we will be hearing testimony from a few witnesses today. I can also see that the defendant is in custody, and I want to know more about the bail terms on this case. I can see that there is a no bail record. Now I remember. I denied bail due to the severity of the charges in this case, but I want to take a closer look at the defendant's record. I pull up the defendant's criminal background report with more information about the defendant, his criminal record, warrants, and upcoming hearings. Now I'm ready to take a look at the previously admitted evidence. I can view documents like the state's witness list, photos, and even audio-visual files that have been uploaded to the case. I can rewatch the surveillance video submitted by the state. When I am done reviewing the case, I will leave a hearing note for my law clerk. Now I am ready for today's hearing in this case. So I will join the parties in our Digital Evidence Center to conduct the proceeding. The DEC connects me to the case parties in a digital, secure platform so that I can view and collaborate on evidence, exhibits, etc. that parties are presenting. Whether a hearing is in person or virtual, I can consider new evidence, mark up and make notes on the evidence, and then can admit new evidence into the record and into C-Track. So in the Gambini case, I've just started the virtual trial, and defense counsel has just submitted a new piece of evidence for me to consider. I'll open that up, review it as counsel present arguments. I can see all the evidence again that was submitted in prior hearings. Make private notes on evidence that will help me make decisions. During the hearing, counsel directs me to new evidence he would like to have admitted. Interesting. I'll make a note to review this evidence in more detail in chambers. I want all counsel to see this new status, so I will mark it as a shared note. Then I'll conclude the hearing and return to chambers to do some work in my other cases. Now that my morning hearings are over, I'm going to spend some time on my complex civil case in preparation for upcoming oral arguments. I see from my subscription activity queue that 2 new filings have been received on for case. Let's take a look. A motion for summary judgment and a corresponding response have been filed. I'm going to review the case. I'll quickly refresh myself with the case summary, and here I can see the motion and response as well as some supporting briefs. It looks like a matter has already been created so that I can privately collaborate with my staff to produce an order for the motion. Great! All the relevant documents and materials are here for me to review. I see my law clerk has worked ahead and prepared a draft order as well as a bench memo. I'll review the bench memo first. Very interesting. I'll listen to the recording of the previous hearing and the motion to dismiss later. The clerk left a note for me here. Okay, I think I'd better review some of the citations from this response. I like the convenience of active links that take me right to the case citation in Westlaw. I also need to analyze the briefs that have been submitted in a little more detail. I'm glad we are using Quick Check Judicial in our court because it helps me in my analysis. I just upload the documents I want to analyze and click Start. Quick Check Judicial will help me review cited and omitted authority and also help me analyze the parties' arguments and quotations. That analysis was very interesting. I'll leave a personal note on this filing to remind me about that. Now, let me see what my clerk has drafted here. This looks okay, but it needs a bit more work. I'll leave a comment here for her to do a bit more case research and insert some more substance. I'll edit this to reflect the decision I'm leaning towards rendering. Now I'll just save my revisions back to C-Track. I'll keep this in the draft queue for my clerk and leave her a note with some instructions. Hopefully this will be the last set of revisions necessary, and then I can submit this for filing after my next review. Now I think I'll go ahead and ask my judicial assistant to proceed with scheduling this matter for oral arguments to review my tentative ruling. With my day's tasks now complete, I can finally end my day. Let's hear some final thoughts from Judge Hedge.
Family, and also in criminal to some extent, the benefit of that case management system was to be able to have a holistic approach and to be able to see everything that was going on with that individual who was before me. And that was a tremendous help. There were ticklers built into the technology that were essential because it wasn't just the law clerk tickling me, it was my making sure the law clerk was on top of things too. And the way to do that was we had, for example, motion tracking reports so that we could go into the computer system and it would tell me, I could bring up the report and it would tell me if my motion was, quote, right. The opposition had come in, the reply had come in, and it now was ready for me to decide. One of the benefits of the case management system is the ability to make private notes so that the law clerk can flag something saying, this is the person who has the problem with such and such, or this lawyer is going to be late, or this is the one who raised the case of such and such, but this other case is against it. If it's a real quick fix like that, something that would be in those notes. So when I pulled the case up, I could see private note and see it right there and not be flipping through my papers on the bench. I think it is so important that for judges who are in a court that is a general jurisdiction where you have a number of different chances for someone to have an experience with the court system, the judge, at least I really wanted to know what else was going on with that person. And the great thing about an integrated case management system, it's a holistic approach. You can know what's happening with that person before you. So if you have a person who is going to adopt a child or going to have foster care, yes, you get reports, but you have the ability to go into the system, put that person's name and find out if 3 days ago they were just evicted from the house and Child and Family Services hadn't heard about that. Or you're about to release somebody on their personal recognizance and you find out that, oh, gee, they actually were picked up in some other case and pretrial services hadn't found that out yet. So that's something you have at your fingertips that gives a comfort level as a judge that I'm making the best decision I can with all the information available to me that I didn't have 20 years ago when it was all paper.